Have you ever felt like your struggles were not random, like every delay, every closed door, and every silent battle was shaping you for something far greater than you can see right now? Welcome to the Inner Chosen. If this message found you today, there is a reason. Stay with me until the end because in this video you are going to discover powerful truths about your journey, your purpose, and why everything you have been through may have been preparing you for this very moment. So, take a deep breath, open your heart, and get ready, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see yourself forever. Have you ever had the strange feeling that something bigger has been guiding your life, even in the moments that made the least sense? Maybe it was in the middle of heartbreak, disappointment, or a season when everything felt uncertain. Deep inside, there was still a quiet voice telling you that your story was not over, that your pain was not pointless, and that one day everything would connect in a way you could finally understand. Some messages do not just entertain you, they find you. They reach you at the exact moment when your spirit is tired, when your heart is searching, and when your soul is ready to hear what it has been missing. That is why this moment matters. Out of all the videos you could have clicked, out of all the voices you could have listened to, you are here now. That alone should tell you something powerful. This may be the confirmation you did not know you needed. There is a reason certain words hit ye deeper than others. There is a reason some truths feel like they were spoken directly to you. When you have been chosen for something greater, life begins to carry signs, patterns, and moments of awakening that others may overlook. What feels random to everyone else often feels personal to you because somewhere within, your spirit recognizes that this is not just information, it is alignment. You may have spent a long time questioning yourself, doubting your worth, or wondering why your path has been so different from the people around you. But sometimes the very things that made you feel isolated were actually setting you apart. Sometimes the reason you could never fully fit into ordinary spaces is because your calling was never ordinary. You were meant to grow through things that would uncover your strength, sharpen your wisdom, and reveal who you truly are. So as this message begins, let yourself be fully present. Set aside the noise, the fear, and the old labels that no longer belong to you. This is your moment to listen with more than your ears. This is your moment to receive with your spirit, because what you're about to understand may change the way you see your past, your present, and the person you are becoming. There were so many moments when it would have been easier for you to stop trying, easier to shut down, to walk away, to tell yourself that none of it was worth the effort anymore. But somehow, even when your strength was low and your heart was heavy, you kept moving forward. You may not have always felt brave, but every time you refused to give up, you showed a kind of strength that cannot be taught. Most people only understand perseverance when it looks strong on the outside, but real perseverance often looks quiet. It looks like getting up when nobody is cheering for you. It looks like carrying pain without letting it define you. It looks like facing another day with questions you still cannot answer and choosing not to surrender to hopelessness. That kind of resilience says something extraordinary about who you are. What makes your journey different is not that you never felt weak. It is that weakness did not get the final word. You felt disappointment, but you did not let it turn into permanent defeat. You felt fear, but you did not let it completely control your future. Even in moments where you thought you were barely holding on, something inside you refused to let go. That is why your story carries weight. Because you kept choosing life, faith, and movement when standing still would have felt easier. There is something sacred about people who continue through seasons that should have broken them, not because they are emotionless and not because they never struggle, but because their spirit carries a deep endurance. You kept going through confusion, rejection, loneliness, and inner battles that many people around you never even knew existed. And still, here you are, still standing, still searching, still becoming. Never underestimate what it means that you survived without becoming the worst version of yourself. Never overlook the power of the fact that you are still open, still growing, and still willing to believe that better days are ahead. The road may have been harder than you expected, but the truth is simple: you did not quit. And because you did not quit, you are now standing at the edge of a breakthrough that only people with true endurance are able to reach. There are battles in your life that no one ever truly saw. The moments when you smiled in front of others but were breaking inside. The nights when your thoughts were heavy, and the quiet hours when you were trying to hold yourself together without anyone knowing how much you were carrying. While people judged what they could see on the surface, God was watching the deeper story. He saw every tear you never explained, every prayer you whispered in weakness, and every time you chose not to give up when your soul was tired. Many people celebrate public victories, but heaven pays attention to private faithfulness. It is in the hidden places that true character is revealed, when no one was clapping for you, when no one was checking on your progress, and when no reward seemed to come from doing the right thing. You still kept trying. You still kept choosing honesty, patience, restraint, and hope. Those choices may have looked small to the world, but in the spirit, they were deeply powerful. God also saw the moments when you could have become cold, but you stayed soft. He saw the times you could have chosen revenge, but you chose peace instead. He saw the temptation to harden your heart, to stop caring, to stop trusting, and yet something within you kept pulling you back toward light. That matters more than you realize, because the way you handled your hidden struggles revealed the kind of person you were becoming. What people often fail to understand is that the private battles shape the public destiny. Before anyone sees strength in your voice, courage in your steps, or wisdom in your decisions, those things are first formed in silence. You were being built in places where no audience existed. You were being refined in moments that felt unnoticed. And because the process was hidden, it may have seemed like nothing was changing. But everything was changing. So never believe that those unseen seasons were wasted. They were not empty years, and they were not forgotten pain. Every quiet victory, every invisible act of obedience, and every choice you made when no one else understood was being recorded in a way that mattered. God was not absent from your hidden battles. He was there in every one of them, shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for a life that could only be carried by someone who had already learned how to stand strong in secret. The truth is, what set you apart was never perfection. It was your willingness to surrender. You did not move forward because you had all the answers, and you did not grow because you had no flaws. In fact, some of your greatest transformation began in the very places where you felt the most broken. What made the difference was that instead of running forever, resisting forever, or pretending forever, you eventually opened your heart and allowed God to work on the parts of you that needed to change. Surrender is not weakness. It is one of the strongest choices a person can make. It means laying down pride, releasing control, and admitting that your own way cannot carry you where you are meant to go. Many people want blessings, but few are willing to be changed by the process that comes before them. You were different because you stopped fighting every lesson. You stopped clinging so tightly to old versions of yourself. And little by little, that surrender began to transform your life. There were moments when surrender probably felt uncomfortable, even painful. It meant facing truths you once avoided. It meant letting go of habits, attachments, and mindsets that once felt familiar. It meant trusting even when you could not yet see what was ahead. But every time you said yes to growth, yes to healing, yes to discipline, and yes to truth, you moved further into the person you were always meant to become. That is why your journey carries real depth. It wasn't superficial change. It was soul-level transformation. Perfection keeps people trapped because it creates the illusion that they must become flawless before they can be worthy. But surrender breaks that illusion. It says, I may not be complete yet, but I am available. I may still be healing, but I am willing. I may not understand everything, but I trust enough to keep going. That posture is rare, and it is powerful. It is often the very reason why some people experience real breakthrough while others remain stuck in cycles of striving. So, if you ever wonder why your path has been so different, remember this. It was not because you were the most polished, the most impressive, or the most perfect. It was because, in the middle of your imperfections, you chose to yield. You chose to let the process shape you instead of destroy you. And that surrender opened doors inside your spirit that force never could. It is one of the clearest signs that your life is being led by something greater than fear, greater than ego, and greater than the need to appear strong all the time. There were many times when the waiting felt unbearable. You may have looked at your life and wondered why certain doors stayed closed, why answers came so slowly, and why the things you prayed for seemed delayed again and again. In those moments, it was easy to feel forgotten. It was easy to think that silence meant rejection. But what felt like delay was often something far deeper. It was not God refusing you. It was God preparing you. Not every blessing can arrive the moment you ask for it. Some things require growth before they can be trusted into your hands. If certain opportunities had come too early, they might have crushed you instead of elevating you. If some doors had opened before your spirit was strengthened, you may have entered them with the wrong mindset, the wrong wounds, or the wrong expectations. What felt slow was often mercy moving at the right pace. Preparation rarely looks impressive while you are living through it. It often feels like repetition, discomfort, stillness, and unseen change. Yet, during that season, something important was happening within you. Your patience was being stretched, your discernment was becoming sharper, your emotions were being refined, your faith was learning how to stand, even without immediate proof. These things do not happen overnight, and they cannot be rushed without consequence. There is a difference between wanting something and being ready for it. In your waiting season, life was teaching you that difference. You were not only learning how to receive, you were learning how to carry. That matters, because some blessings are heavy, some callings demand maturity, some next levels require a version of you that can stay grounded, wise, and spiritually awake, even after the breakthrough arrives. The preparation was building that version of you. So do not look back at the delay and call it wasted time. Those slow seasons were full of meaning, even when they felt empty. They were shaping your inner life, stabilizing your spirit, and teaching you how to trust beyond what you could see. What seemed postponed was actually being positioned. And now, because you endured the preparation instead of running from it, you are becoming ready for what once felt out of reach. Some of the hardest battles in your life were never just about the moment in front of you. They were connected to patterns that had been repeating for far too long. Patterns of fear, insecurity, limitation, silence, and pain. Things that may have moved through your family, your environment, or your past like an invisible chain. For a long time, those cycles may have felt normal simply because they were familiar. But something in you began to resist what once ruled you. Breaking a pattern is never easy, because it requires you to challenge what has shaped you for years. It means making choices that feel unfamiliar. It means saying no to ways of thinking that once felt automatic. It means refusing to keep repeating the emotional habits, destructive responses, and limiting beliefs that tried to become your identity. That kind of inner rebellion takes courage, especially when the old pattern keeps trying to pull you back. There were moments when you probably felt the tension between who you used to be and who you were becoming. Part of you may have wanted the comfort of what was known, even if it was painful, because at least it was familiar. But growth kept calling you forward. Truth kept exposing what had to end, and little by little, you began to choose differently. You began to speak differently, think differently, and respond differently. Those choices were not small. They were the beginning of freedom. What makes this so powerful is that pattern breaking is never only personal. When one person becomes conscious enough to stop repeating what once controlled them, that decision creates impact beyond their own life. It changes the atmosphere around them. It shifts what future relationships will experience. It rewrites what future generations may inherit. The cycle loses power the moment someone becomes brave enough to confront it instead of continuing it. That is the kind of work your spirit has been doing. So honor the fact that you did not simply survive what tried to shape you. You challenged it. You disrupted it. You refused to let pain become destiny. That is why your journey matters so deeply. You are not just another person trying to get through life. You are someone who stood in the middle of inherited struggle and said, "This will not define me forever," and that decision has more power than you may fully realize. There were times when the pressure on your life felt far greater than it should have been. The battles were not small, and the weight was not light. At times, it may have seemed like the opposition came from every direction at once, through your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, and your sense of identity. But not every intense struggle is a sign that you are losing. Sometimes the level of resistance around your life reveals the level of purpose within it. The enemy does not waste energy attacking what carries no threat. That is why your path has often felt so contested. The confusion, the setbacks, the heavy moments that tried to make you question your value were not random interruptions. They were attempts to distract you from the truth of who you are and from the calling that has been forming over your life for a long time. If you could be convinced that you were ordinary, then you might never step fully into what makes you dangerous to darkness. One of the greatest strategies used against you was not always destruction, but discouragement. If your spirit could be made tired enough, maybe you would stop praying. If your mind could be made noisy enough, maybe you would stop listening to truth. If your heart could be wounded deeply enough, maybe you would stop believing that anything meaningful still awaited you. The attack was often aimed less at your circumstances and more at your confidence, because once confidence is shaken, people begin to abandon what they were born to carry. And yet, despite everything that tried to silence you, dim you, or wear you down, you are still here. That matters. The fact that you kept going after everything you faced is not something to overlook. It means there is something in you that pressure could not kill. It means the assignment on your life is stronger than the attack against it. It means your spirit carries a durability that only comes from being held by something greater than fear. So, when you look back on the intensity of your battles, do not only see pain, see evidence, see confirmation, see the reality that what is on your life has always mattered. The warfare was fierce because your future is not small. The resistance was strong because your obedience has impact. And now, instead of being intimidated by what fought you, you can begin to recognize it for what it was. Proof that your light has always carried more power than the darkness wanted you to discover. So many people ask for the promise, but very few are willing to stay long enough for the process. They want the reward, the recognition, the open door, and the blessing, but they do not want the stretching that comes before it. They do not want the refining, the waiting, the surrender, or the uncomfortable growth that transformation requires. But your journey became different because even when the process was painful, you did not run from it forever. You stayed. There is something sacred about a person who allows God to finish what he started in them. That does not mean the path was easy. It means you kept returning to truth, even after moments of weakness. It means you kept allowing correction, healing, and maturity to shape you, even when it exposed aspects of yourself you would rather have avoided. Many people stop as soon as the process becomes uncomfortable, but you kept moving through it, one lesson at a time. The process likely stripped things away from you. It may have removed false identities, unhealthy attachments, pride, illusions, and habits that once felt like part of who you were. At times, that stripping can feel like loss. It can feel like life is taking too much. But what was really happening was deeper than that. You were being cleared of everything that could not go where you were meant to go. The process was not emptying you without reason. It was making room for something truer. What makes this so powerful is that your obedience became rare. In a world where many start but few finish, you kept letting the work continue. You kept saying yes when it would have been easier to numb yourself. You kept softening where bitterness could have hardened you. You kept growing where pride could have frozen you in place. That kind of willingness is not common, and it changes everything. It turns a life into a vessel that can carry more than comfort. It can carry purpose. And now, after all that time, there is a sense that heaven has been waiting for this moment in you, waiting for the day when the process was no longer resisted, but embraced, waiting for the point where what was planted in pain would finally rise in strength. You did not just survive the shaping, you allowed it to complete something in you. And because of that, you are no longer standing where you used to stand. You are becoming someone ready, someone aligned, and someone able to carry what once would have been too heavy for your hands. If this message spoke to your spirit today, do not let it end here. Take one word that reflects what this video meant to you. Maybe it is faith, strength, purpose, healing, or chosen. And write that one word down below in the comments. I want to see the word that your heart is carrying after hearing this message. And if this video touched you deeply, take one more step and support it by clicking YouTube's new hype feature. Your support can help this message reach more people who need encouragement, clarity, and confirmation in this season. Remember, you are not forgotten, you are not behind, and you are not here by accident. Stay strong, stay open, and keep walking in what God is awakening inside you. Until next time, this is the Inner Chosen.